everyone, it is 2026. Welcome back to YouTube. Oh my God, what a crazy year 2025 has been. If you are new to this channel, hello. My name is Farah. I'm an actor and a fight performer and a graduate of East 15 Acting School. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It is 2026. Now, if you watch any of my YouTube shorts that I posted recently, I kind of went over what my goals were for 2026. More training for the BSR, more reading, trying to just get ahead. Because I know what happens with me is that I kind of slowly creep into the new year and I go, how is it March? So yeah, I'm trying to hit the ground running this year. I had a really good 2025, had a really good 2024. So now 2026, new things are happening. And I thought what better way to kind of kick off on the channel specifically was to go over auditions, because the industry has forever evolved since, a very serious incident happened a couple of years ago, and it has changed the industry completely. I've learned lots of things. Being a physical performer, I'm very, very grateful that I do still have quite a lot of in-person auditions, so I haven't actually done as many self-tapes as I thought I would in the last couple of years. But it's always good to go over what is good for self-tapes, what is good for in-person auditions. So yeah, I thought we'd kind of go over this topic because the last time I did it was in 2021 when I was still at university in my foundation year. Oh my God, that's such a long time ago. Where has the time gone? So yeah, come along with me. We're gonna talk about auditions, quick fire on self-tapes, and yeah, just some general advice. So if you wanna come along, come join me. Nice to meet you. If you're new, if you've been a fan or a follower for a long time, welcome back. It's 2026. Let's do it. Also, just before we crack on with the video, I've got a little celebratory moment to share with you all. I'm very happy to say that we hit a milestone. We have hit 1.5k followers. I'm so happy because in the world that exists with bots and people paying for followers, so I'm really happy that my community is pretty much all made up of the industry, creatives, friends, people that I work with, people that I want to work with. So yeah, I'm really, really grateful that we've hit this milestone because I've been running my Instagram since 2019 when I first started my professional actor's journey, way before I went to drama school. Been a long time coming. I'm really, really happy. So long as my following is full of people that are interested in my journey and interested in where my career is going, then that is all that matters. Love you all. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. So in this section of the video, I want to talk about going all the way back to when I was 18, starting to audition for drama schools. I fast forward to now, I cannot comprehend how much of a different feeling it is. Conservatoire training has had a lot to do with that, but also just the emotional journey that I've been through, things that have gone on in the world, things that have gone on, in your life, and how you develop emotionally and how that changes how you walk into a room. And that is the thing that is the most important. Those first 5 seconds when you walk into that room or you step into frame and you are introducing yourself to a bunch of strangers, those 5 seconds are so important. So yeah, it really is about coming into the room and putting your best foot forward and being confident, but not the confidence that you think they want to see. It is the confidence of you, of who you are and who you are giving to them, because ultimately that's going to be whether you get the job or not. Directors and panelists will appreciate the character that you are bringing, but also they do really want to see you, because eventually if you get the job, these people will, they'll be your colleagues, they might even become your friends, and they can kind of get a sense of who you are. And if they can look into the future and go, they're so talented, but I can't help but think they're going to be a total to work with, then oftentimes it doesn't matter how much of a great audition you do. I would say my first bit of advice is spending time getting to know who you are as an actor, feeling confident in yourself as a person, because it is those first 5 seconds when you walk into the room. How do you approach a director? How do you approach a panelist? What are you wearing? What does that say about you? Is the vibe, ooh, I'm walking into the room, and a firm handshake? Is that the vibe that we're feeling? Sometimes you can walk into a room and the directors might not be as personal. It might feel very, very serious. very serious panelist. I really do like it. I sometimes get very caught off guard when a director will walk straight up to me and stick their hand out, shake their hand. I'm like, whoa, they're here for a good day. It's always very reassuring to me. So I always go into a room thinking I want to shake their hand. That sets the precedent for the rest of the audition. Because if you go in being the confident one and like you have complete control of the room, it makes the director relax so much more. And they're not feeling that they have to kind of drip feed you through the audition. Because the last thing you want to do is walk into an audition room and very gingerly it's like, hello, yeah, it's lovely to meet you. No weak, feeble handshakes, people, please. If you're gonna shake the director's hand, shake it confidently. Just go in, be yourself. Don't be the version you think they want to see. You just be as authentic and as grounded as you possibly can. You know, it's very easy to walk into a room. And I used to do this. It took me until partway through my second year of drama school where I stopped doing this, and that was putting on a voice. You would not believe the fear and the stereotypes and the stigma that come with the long-standing history of performers who have been from the Midlands and the North. The stereotype being, you know, oh, it's very common. And a lot of times when people used to go to drama school way back in the day, they would try and, you know, stamp that out of them and get them to have a standard English accent. Well, I'm so glad that that is like gone and regional accents are having their moment because they absolutely deserve it. And it is so good to see good stories and real stories from people from where I'm from. Yeah, there's nothing worse than walking into an audition room and going, hello, it's so lovely to meet you. I'm sorry, did Farah leave the room? Where is she? Where? I understand with nerves sometimes you have a tendency to go very formal and polite, but getting rid of those nerves and using that adrenaline to channel who you are and where you're from, because that has a massive effect on your acting. You know, the kind of actor I used to be, where what would come out is a very standard, boring, you know, I'm just trying to be professional and whatever comes out is what I think everyone wants to hear. And it took until third year when a director who was working with us in third year gave me a duologue scene and he said, I want to hear you do this in your most authentic home accent. Like, give me you as if you were just talking to your friend. Probably one of my best pieces of acting I've ever done. We're still learning, but when you're at a place where you are starting to know who you are, your acting gets so much better. That would be my bit of advice, my first bit of advice about putting yourself in the room. Because like I said, once those first 5 seconds are over, the panelist, the director, the producer has already got that idea of who they think you are. And then it's up to you for the rest of the audition to either change their mind, reinforce those ideas, or they are still confused and they kind of go, I'm not really sure who they are, because they weren't showing me. They weren't conveying to me who they were. So yes, that would be my first little bit of advice. My next bit of advice for auditions would be plan before you play. And what that entails is as soon as you get that material and you are given your deadline for when you are either doing this in-person audition or this self-tape. And I'm gonna quote 2021 Farah for this, read the play. Oh my goodness. If I could count how many times 18-year-old me was so stressed about the 11 auditions I had booked myself, I thought I could get away with reading the synopsis. I thought I could get away with general knowledge of the play. Yeah, it didn't work. It went so horribly wrong because you know what happens when you go to an audition, and it may not happen for everyone. If it don't happen for you and you got into drama school or you got the job, sweet. A lot of times you will go into the audition, you will do the speech. They may sit you down, they may redirect you, and with that comes questions about the play. They can tell if you have not read the play. It is patently obvious. I'm gonna embarrass myself slightly. I remember 18-year-old me going for my Italia Conti audition for my BA in acting, and I had the flu really bad, and I physically was like, I haven't got the time, I haven't got the capacity, but I'm still gonna go to this audition because I really, really wanna go. I had not read the play, and it was a very famous play. Looking back now, I go, oh gosh, how could I have gone to that audition and known hardly anything about the play? So not only was I ill, which made me forget my lines, and I constantly needed prompting by the panel, which was already like, ground swallow me whole, please, I want to cry, I want to leave. And then I also didn't know enough about the play. So when they asked me questions, it was just a double hammer hit on the nail of, we don't think it's the right time for you. would you like to leave? I was like, yes. So apologies, Italia Conti, for embarrassing myself at that audition. If you don't have the lines in your head as a minimum and the knowledge of the play enough that you can be redirected, also you can play, it's not gonna go anywhere. You're gonna be doing the same repetition of the lines over and over again, and nothing is going to change. And what directors want to see is that you can play and you can take in what they're saying and you can be redirected, because you know the lines. The lines are solid. The lines have to be solid. That is the one thing I've learned, is if you've got it in your head so well that you can say it whilst you're in the shower, you can say it whilst you're picking up your shopping, that is where it needs to be. Because unless you're able to fully let go and play, you know, they might give you a completely different emotion to play with the character, and if you've just learnt it in one way, it's going to be hard and they're going to see that you're struggling to be redirected. Plan so you can play. Know the lines well, very, very well. Know the context of the character and the play very, very well. Don't make the same mistakes I did, because I look back and I have such embarrassment. Luckily, I was good. I was better by the time I got to East 15 and I'd learnt my lesson and I made sure I knew all of those things. But yeah, that first year of auditions was just diabolical. I had no guidance. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just going, yes, 11 schools. This will be fine. Let's do a quick fire about self-tapes. Now, I know everyone and their Auntie Anne does videos about self-tape advice. Go and watch all of them, because everybody has got one little tidbit in their own unique videos and content that goes, ooh, I like that. So yeah, let's just go for a little bit of a quick fire. First things first, framing. In most audition cases, you will be asked to film in landscape unless they specifically ask for portrait, depending on what it is. You want to have a decent, even amount of gap between you. Sometimes I would probably say, if you have a reader, which we'll get onto, being slightly off-center and on the diagonal will just ease the people who are viewing your video, and they can watch it without feeling like they're being stared into their soul. Everyone, they might love it. They might love the intensity of being stared down the camera lens. So framing, you want a little bit of a gap above your head. I've tried to get better at this as I get older, because when I first started doing self-tapes, it would literally be like, I've cut off my forehead and I've gone, I've got to do it again, no. So yeah, I would say probably like at least maybe, yeah, giving yourself about, you know, a couple of inches above your head. Just enough that if you need to, you know, adjust your posture, or you are moving around, you're not getting cut off, going like, it's not cutting your face off basically. So you have room to play. So yeah, I always prefer in-person auditions, but when it is self-tape, you just gotta get creative. Make the world, you know, make it as if you were doing a film, you know, just have a play, have a bit of fun. Next thing we're going to talk about is lighting. Now, lighting is one of those difficult ones because, you know, if you're like me and you live in the UK, we don't get a lot of sunlight. Unless it's the summer, but of course, most of the time, especially in the winter, if you're filming self-tapes around winter, you get probably like 10 minutes of sunlight a day, and that's all you have to work with. If you can invest in at least some kind of enhanced lighting, that would be great. I've got a nice plain back wall, and I can film self-tapes if I need to. That's another important thing. If you can, try and get a plain wall. It just helps. I know this isn't the best color for me because I know it's not exactly white, but it is still quite pale. I'm quite pale skinned. So for me, sometimes white backgrounds wash me out a bit. So I always try and make sure I wear something colorful to try and balance that. If you haven't got a free plain wall, get a couple of thumbtacks, if you're okay to do that. And just getting a bed sheet or a piece of cloth, you know, and just pinning it to corners, you know, getting rid of any distractions. Like I couldn't exactly film up against my wardrobe because the wood pattern on it would be a little bit distracting. It probably would take away from what I'm trying to do. So yeah, it is all just to do with taking away those distractions. Depends on what you want to do with lighting. The economy sucks. We know that. It's getting harder and harder to make good self-tapes because the industry keeps moving very quickly in terms of quality. You see lots of people doing self-tapes where they're in like a studio setup and they've got an amazing camera. You know, even me, I've kind of started, but it's taken me, yeah, come on. I've had this channel since 2020. Oh, my ring light just decided to turn off. Bear with me. Yeah, this is a good point. Good quality lighting. I have had this ring light since 2020. And it was already not a great one when I bought it. Please don't blow up your power supply just for the sake of getting a cheap light. But good to know that's turned off because it's probably overheated. So yeah, it's the thing about investing in good lighting. You know, people are going with studio setups and they've got all these amazing lights. And do you know how expensive filming backdrops are? Some of them you can find cheap, I get it. But you know, if you want to find like a decent one, some of them are not expensive. So yeah, if I can use my plain wall for as long as I can, I will. But you never know. If you might want to invest in a little bit in the future, you might want standard ring lights. You can get ones that are on a shorter tripod, or you can get ones that are on a tall one. One that's adjustable, that would be great. You can also get soft boxes, which have a diffuser on them. You've also got panel lighting. I would just say, start off with a standard ring light. I have made an investment, however, because audio is something that is very important. Now, as you know, I've had this channel for quite a long time. Sometimes my audio hasn't been great on my camera. I've used Rode mics. I've used the longer ones you attach to the camera, but I recently treated myself. Look at this little baby. It's a little DJI mic mini. Honestly, my audio, you can hear it because you're listening to it, but it sounds so much better than what it was. Honestly, I could not bear listening to my YouTube videos sometimes where I was like, the audio needs to be better. So yeah, I'm finally happy I've been able to upgrade and I've been able to improve my audio. You don't need to wear these for self-tapes, to be honest, because everything is supposed to be intimate anyway. Also, I would say it might be helpful. It might be a little bit distracting. I don't know. It depends on the director and how they might feel. You can try and conceal it. Also, having good audio will definitely help. And next, I want to talk about filming. And what are you filming on? Now, over the years, I invested in a camera. The quality of the videos wasn't quick enough. The frame rate was slowing down. I looked slightly blurry. I did make sure I calibrated it properly. You kind of sometimes have to go, right, I need to make an investment. And what I did is went, cool, I'm gonna get a good phone that has a great camera, and because it's my phone, I don't have to spend money on two separate devices. So currently, I'm using the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Now you might think, Farah, that's a very expensive phone. Yes, I know. I had my iPhone 11 probably for about 5 years, I'm gonna say, which some people might have had their devices for a bit longer. Do not worry, this is not me actively encouraging people to go buy the latest new model of iPhone. Whichever phone works for you. You know, at the end of the day, so long as your face isn't blurry and you can be heard, you're gonna give out a good performance. So as long as the director and the panel can pick up your good performance, it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't really matter. But yes, I'm fully well aware of how fast the industry is moving in terms of the quality of equipment. And for people like me, you know, I'm very vocal and open about the fact that I'm a working class creator. Some of those things aren't feasible, and that is okay. And finally, on this topic of recording and self-tapes, readers is something that I've become very aware of in the last few years now that I've started auditioning and I'm no longer at university. Because you know what I had at university? Other actors. What do I not have at home? Other actors. The amount of times I have tried to do a self-tape as a duologue and had to dub over the gaps of silence I've left in between my lines in post-edit. I'm not acting with anybody. That's one thing I'm trying to do better this year, is to actively make sure that I'm having readers in with my self-tapes. Having a reader is really good because you aren't acting otherwise. You're just monologuing with bits of silence in between. And yeah, it just doesn't feel as organic or as good, in my opinion. I have made that mistake, so I am actively trying to change that. That's my last point on that. Having a reader, really important. Moving on, this one is a bit of a personal one because a lot of actors, especially when we feel like things are going good, we don't really want to have a minute of self-assessment because then that means we have to look in on ourselves, and that automatically often makes actors panic and go, why? So for me, self-assessment has been a really good thing to do on monthly, maybe 2 monthly basis, just looking at how I approach an audition. It can be how I deal with deadlines, how I learn my lines, my approach to the audition, and the overall techniques I'm using in a self-tape or in person, depending on if it's a skill-based audition or an acting audition. There's lots of different things you can do. The one thing for me that I used to really struggle with is a quick turnaround time for learning lines. For example, I went and did a showreel scene. I was helping out and it was great because it meant I get showreel material and it was lovely. I had been asked to join in at the last minute. I think I had a week, maybe a bit, to learn this scene. Now, for some of you people who are better at this than I may go, oh my God, a week? Farah, you had a whole week to learn your lines. Plenty of time. For someone like me, even a week would make me slightly squeaky bum time. Oh my God, I need to learn my lines in a week. Everyone's different. So what you need to do is have that self-assessment. I always find that rehearsing with people really helps. And then I came to the realization of, I'm not around people all the time that I can rehearse with. What do I do? And this is where I invested in a line learning app. Now there are a couple, but the one I invested in is Line Learner. It was so helpful in getting ready for the showreel scene. Like I said, for me, it was a quick turnaround time. So I was like, cool, I've got to get this down. And I did. I felt really good about it. We did a live rehearsal halfway through the week, working my way up to it. I've got myself in a position where I have been able to learn the lines on my own, no matter what I'm doing. And the Line Learning app is really good because you can record an entire script and you can have the lines feed back to you line by line. You can either mute your own lines if you know them and you just want the other person reading in, or you can have both of them in and kind of need a little prompt before you say the line. Your lines will still be fed back to you. You do have to pay for the app, which I know for some people is kind of like, I'm already paying for enough things, Farah, why would I want to do that? It's an investment. It is up to you whether that works for you or not. I would recommend it because you can use it all the time, you don't require Wi-Fi. So yeah, play around with it, re-record the lines every now and again whilst you're working your way up to the shoot. But for me, Line Learner has been really good. So yeah, I think it's a really healthy thing to do, to just look back and go, how do I do things? Are these things not working? Am I not getting in the room? Am I not getting the feedback that I want? How do I improve on this? Just having a little self-assessment on things like deadlines, line learning, methods, all that kind of stuff is really helpful going forward if you're auditioning this year. And moving on to the last couple of sections. This one is something that I have slowly started to learn as auditioning has been happening more and more. And that is just get bold, be silly. We have such a want to get the job that sometimes we sacrifice everything we have worked hard to become before we step into the room. I've seen it time and time again with myself, where previously before I went into training, and even whilst I was in training, we would do mock auditions and I would come in and, like I mentioned earlier, it was that kind of everything is clenched kind of attitude. And I would play it safe in the auditions because I just want to get the lines right. And if they asked me to play, I might be like, oh no, I wasn't expecting that. Always expect it. You need to make sure you know those lines so that you can just be adaptable. And directors can see it. The more connected you are to yourself as an actor, the more adaptable you are when you're given a piece of text. I firmly believe that because I have seen it in myself. It's not me saying I become an incredible actor. I enjoy acting, and if people also enjoy my acting, then that's great. And that's why I really enjoy Meisner. For me, as someone as a chronic overthinker, so for me, Meisner was great because it just broke apart all of those rigid techniques in my head of this is how to act, were some of the most organic pieces of acting I've done. And it's true, the given circumstances will be different in different kinds of jobs, but it works because you feel connected to yourself and you don't feel like you're just kind of stepping out of your head and looking at yourself acting and going, yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a great job. You need to be in it. You can't astral project and just think, this will be great. You've got to feel it. You've got to connect yourself to your soul. You've got to plant your feet firmly on the ground. You've got to sink, feel heavy, feel your weight in the floor. So yeah, it's that idea of being silly, be bold, just throw something in there, surprise them. Directors must get so bored doing auditions. If everyone's doing the same piece of text, surprise them, make their day. Entertain them. That's what we're here to do. I will give an example of the first professional occasion where I decided to just go, yeah. So this is when I was auditioning for Three Musketeers, and we had done all the fight auditions, which were great because it was like, cool, I am a good, skilled fighter. And I was ready to go into that show going, cool, okay, think I'm doing good. I've made it past the fight rounds. They like what they saw. And then it came to the acting rounds, and I was auditioning for Milady de Winter. And in the script, it said, in a kind of sensual, mischievous way, removes a glove whilst she's talking to Constance. It's the point in the play where Milady is about to apprehend Constance. And I looked at the script and I was like, I don't know what it is, there's just something weird about me standing there and just miming taking a glove off. Some directors would rather you not bring props, some of them don't mind, but you know what? You've got to take it upon yourself to go, what am I going to do? I'm gonna do this. So yeah, I brought a glove with me and I was using it in the scene, I was playing around with the texture of it, and I could see the director was enjoying what I was doing. But the fact that they didn't tell me to do it, I decided I was gonna do that, and I just thought, I know the lines, we're gonna play. Take agency of yourself. It may flop, they may not like it, but at least I did it. Because then in my final round, they brought it up again. They were like, oh, I really like what you did in your first round when you brought in the glove. I thought that was a really, nice, I enjoyed it. And I was like, well, if they bring it up again, then it's a good thing. That would be my advice. It's not saying your character is in a brass band and you're gonna bring in your trumpet and your trombone, There's a limit to these things, but just a little sprinkle of, I decided to do this, be bold, be silly. But yeah, it's fun, have a good time. And finally, my final bit of advice, if you're auditioning in 2026, is, shock horror, have a life outside of acting. And you may think, Farah, I'm going into an acting audition. What are they gonna care about what I do that's nothing to do with the character? Everything. Because, like I've been saying this whole time, it is about you. It is you as an actor coming into the room to play. You don't walk in the room as the character already, because that would be weird, because you'd be freaking everybody out as to why you've already started performing as a character before they've even said hello to you. Yes, you can come in with a preconceived idea about the version of yourself you want to bring into the room and be confident, but you're not pretending to be someone else and you're not playing a character. Have things to talk about. What are you doing? What are your hobbies? What book are you reading? Because they want to see you. There's no harm in telling them what you're up to. You can love painting, baking, crocheting, mountaineering, there is an entire world of hobbies, and your personality is just as important as your ability to act. This is probably the best I've felt in myself as an actor, because I have spent time working and realizing who I am, where I'm from, what do I like, what do I don't like, what I will stand for in the industry, what I don't vibe with in the industry. You're allowed to have these thoughts and feelings. You gotta take agency of yourself and you gotta just put your best foot forward. All these things are really important. Self-tapes, auditioning, how you feel, your preparation, all these things are very important. But the journey of getting to that best version of yourself to go into the room for an audition in 2026 is the most important thing. So yeah, look after yourself, take care of your mental health, know who you are, figure out what you don't like, be assertive in your choices and your decisions, because that half-arsedness will be seen straight away, and then it will just be, they don't know who they are. It's great, they're doing some great work, but we don't know who they are, so we don't have time for that. Next. Don't be that kind of person. It's all a work in progress, I get it. It can be very intense going, what do you mean I have to figure out who I am? That takes time. I may never figure that out fully, of course, that's just life. You will always be figuring out new things about yourself. If you are auditioning in 2026, all of these things that I've spoken about today are just a minute part of it. There is so much more to discuss, but this is what I wanted to talk about in my video today, so I hope you enjoyed. Now we've reached the end of the video. Feel free to drop a comment underneath if you have any questions, if you want to ask anything, if you have any thoughts, feelings about what I've discussed today. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's really exciting to be back. It's a new year. I have new equipment. It feels great. So yeah, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me, and yeah, all the love and support to the channel. Feel free to check out my Instagram or my TikTok. I post similar, more short form content on there about all things industry, acting, all that jazz. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a lovely 2026. Manifesting for all auditions, jobs, booked and busy. So yeah, thanks very much for joining me, guys. See ya.